Hey, it is Saturday morning, and I thought that I would answer some questions that I got. So, pardon me. I don't know what that is. Okay, Timmy asked me about the fluctuation in my restriction in my band and what that was about. And basically what happens with me is I will go through anywhere from 10 to 15 days of being good and tight. The restriction being that I can only eat truly band-friendly foods. And really what that means is during that time I can't eat meat, rice, pasta. I'm kind of particular. I make sure that what I have is truly a band-friendly food. That it's something that I know I can eat because I don't want to do anything that's going to cause me any pain or throwing up or, heaven forbid, dilate my pouch or something like that. So during the time that I'm tight, that's how I eat. I also don't lose during that time. Maybe play with a few pounds, but I really only lose when I can eat. And then I'll go through 10 or 15 days of being able to eat. And when I can eat rice and pasta and meat. And I actually have a carnivorous hunger. I actually have a body hunger for bloody red meat. It's a completely different hunger from, oh, it might be lunchtime, I think I'm a little peckish. This is something that it happens to my whole body. It's a craving. My whole body needs to have that protein, and because when I'm tight, I'm getting my protein from my supplements, and that's not good enough for forever. So it's been consistent like that since I've been living with restriction, which would probably be the last year. Because I probably didn't get good restriction until the third or fourth fill, and so I noticed it shortly after that I started to go in spurts. My sister does the same thing. I have asked. It is perfectly normal for some people to experience that. The stomach does shrink and swell, and that could have a lot to do with the adjustment of the band. When I can eat, I'm taking in enough. When I've taken in enough, I think that my stomach swells and it closes me back off, and then when it's time for me to eat again, my stomach has shrunk again. There's just a lot of different things that could happen physiologically that could cause that. There's the reality that saline gets absorbed and it gets lost very minimally, but it does happen. In December, my band had 6.7 in it, and in May I had 6.4. So in 5 months' time, I certainly lost a little bit of saline. It was certainly time for a fill, and that's all perfectly normal. Sam, why don't you just sit right there in my way? I know you can't see him, but I got a cat right here who just has to be where my feet should be. At any rate, I've heard other people talk about it too, and my surgeon wasn't concerned. He said it just happens that way for some people. The trick for me wasn't so much learning the cycles and getting used to that. The trick for me was figuring out when it was time for a fill, because initially, as soon as I would come out of that period of being tight and I would start to be able to eat again, initially my first thought was, oh, you need to go get a fill. But I learned pretty quickly that that wasn't right. If I just wait and see, that's what happened, is I ended up testing it. I was just like, I'm just going to see how long, and I might have, it seems to me I might have had an appointment and had to wait or something, and by the time the appointment rolled around, I had cinched back up, and I was like, well, I don't need that right now, I'll call back if I do. And then a couple weeks later it happened again, and I was like, well, maybe I don't really need a fill this time either, because even when I'm loose, if I can eat a half a cup of food, okay, it's a freaking miracle. When I'm tight, I eat 2 or 3 bites at a time. I don't even know, it's got to be like a teaspoon and a half, maybe 2 teaspoons. Now, I eat all day long when I'm tight. Those are the days that I'm eating 6, maybe even 7 times a day. When I'm looser, I can eat more of a meal. I can eat that quarter to a half a cup somewhere in that range, and I can eat meat and rice and pasta and other things. So that's the time when I kind of have basically anything I want, so within reason, because I know I'm going to be able to process it. So yeah, it's all perfectly normal, and maybe not everybody experiences that. I don't really know, but I do know that my sister and I do, and I know I've heard other people talk about it. So maybe you never will. I don't know why the camera did that. Oh well. I also had a question about exercise, and actually I've had this question a number of times, and I've been kind of reluctant to answer it because I just want to make sure that everybody's doing what they need to do for themselves. I run my life. I'm conscious of all of my decisions, and that being said, I haven't exercised in the last 14 months. Not with any kind of regularity or seriousness or anything like that. It was not my intention. It wasn't part of my plan. Do I think that there's value in it and benefit? Absolutely. You'd be a fool to not think so. So let me explain myself a little bit before you decide why this is. First of all, when I had my surgery, I was 500 pounds and pretty close to immobile. So my number one goal was to have the surgery and get the weight off and get to a point where I could be mobile. If you've watched my very first videos, I spoke very early on that I knew I was going to need some physical therapy to help. I knew that things had gone bad. So, you know, at 500 pounds, it takes you a while to lose enough to get the stamina, to get the energy. And I do not force myself to do much of anything. Everything is a process. I know what I need to be doing, but so does everybody else. Just because we know what we should do or what we need to do doesn't mean that we can get from point A to point Z without going through the rest of the alphabet, people. So for me, I was not going to say, okay, I have to do this and learn to eat with this thing and all this other education I was trying to garner, plus knowing I was going to be dealing with the mind fucks that I knew I was going to be dealing with, okay? And now I've got to add on this regimen of exercise that first of all, I knew I wasn't going to follow, and secondly, I knew was only going to make me feel feelings of failure for not being able to do it or not doing it. And so I said, you know what? I'll come back to the exercise. And so, yeah, until physical therapy, I didn't do anything regularly with it, and I still don't. I sit on my recumbent stationary bike at night and watch TV when I think about it, and I probably do that 3 or 4 nights a week, simply because it's sitting in my living room and it's so right there in front of my face, and I don't mind it. You know, that's the truth. I don't mind doing that. Not fond of the treadmill. I'd rather go out and walk somewhere. I'm busy all day. I'm active enough. So far as I'm concerned, for me, what's working for me, I'm active enough right now. And I haven't been to physical therapy in this last month. I needed to take a month off for personal reasons, and so I'm going back next week. But I'm starting to have thoughts of the last couple of months meeting with a personal trainer to help wean me from physical therapy. And those thoughts were never there before. So it's all coming around. I just didn't force the issue. I just didn't force myself. I just didn't insist that that absolutely had to be part of this right now. When I go to meet with the trainer, my intention is to only commit to maybe 2 days a week for 20 to 30 minutes. Because that's really all I'm willing to do. And it's kind of more than I want to do. Now, my mind is changing every day. My thoughts, my desires, my focus, and the exercise and stuff like that is now becoming more a part of my daily thought life. And probably here comes Darth Vader voice. So, you know, it's coming to me. And if I get into the gym and I find that I want to be there 5 days a week for 5 hours a day, then knowing me, that's exactly what I'll do. But if that thought never comes, I'm never going to do that. You know, it's a personal choice, and I don't know what's going to happen in a year. I don't know what my mindset will be. I don't know what things I'm going to be wanting to do. I don't know. I know that I used to lift weights competitively when I was a teenager, so I remember having a fascination with exercise and loving it and all of that. And there's a part of me that hopes that comes back, that that's still in there somewhere, and it's very likely that it is. But I am not going to force it out, and I am not going to force myself to do something that could potentially cause me to stumble and feel like I'm just not measuring up and I'm not feeling. And right now, exercise is that. I'm mastering everything else, and now it's coming up. So I'm out of time, so I'll answer other questions on another video. Hope you're having a great weekend. Bye.